2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Here we go. All right. What is up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. If we could get a shout out in the chat room that things are working now, that would be legit. Let me know the audio is good. You can subscribe to the podcast by just turning your phone to portrait mode, smashing the thumbs up button, smashing the subscribe button. Hey, and if you're feeling funky and fresh, you might even consider buying a Cam Wow or I Stand With Panthers t-shirt to support the podcast, because every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions and do it with my homeboys. Joe Riolano, how are you, my friend?
Tony, I am doing well. I felt a little crappy this morning, but I am here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, waiting to talk about the Panthers and hopefully cast some positive light on this upcoming week.
Cody, the show's title tonight, it's episode 18.42, and the show is missing. Where did Carolina Gano? We're looking for the pass rush. Cody, I hope you can help us find it.
One day I hope to be a true wordsmith like Tony Dunn is. But you know what? I may do for the time being. But I am picking up what Joe Riolano is putting down. I'm not going to sulk. We're going to look at what happened. We're going to dissect it with the best Panther fans in the game, in the chat room, listening to our podcast in audio form. And we're going to move forward, man. We're going to look forward to Seattle. The season is still in our hands. Let's talk about it, man. It's a Tuesday night. Let's do it.
So the Panthers fall to the Detroit Lions and by a point. We lose 20-19. The Lions win. We're 19-20. And it happens after we come back. We trail throughout the game for the most part, underperforming. Missed field goal, missed extra point, and we get down, we throw a touchdown, marching down the fields with an opportunity to tie it up on the road, and Ron Rivera, with not much time left on the clock, I think it was under 2 minutes, decides to go for it, go for 2, go for the win. Cody, cue up why my man decided to go for 2, because this has been the talk of Panther Nation and really the premium talk throughout, if you listen to the radio shows or anything like that, was this the right decision? I think this is the first thing to discuss. Carolina goes for it on 2. Cody, you got that clip for us?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think you go for 2 on the road. That's to win the game. That's what I did. What's to say the coin toss is going to go in our favor? What's to tell you we're going to stop them?
Why not go for two?
So why not go for two?
Well, you missed a couple kicks.
Well, you missed a couple kicks. I mean, that's all part of it.
I was going for the win.
I was going for the win. That's just the bottom line.
He did. That's the
So we go for the win. It is a decision that some people have decided that some people have disagreed with. The idea is that your defense has started to play somewhat respectably towards the end of this game. Graham Gano, yes, has missed some kicks, but you could tie it up and maybe force this to overtime. I believe, though, Detroit would have some timeouts and have an opportunity to push the ball. So, on the other hand, some people believe that this is the call you make on the road. Joey, we didn't get to catch up with you after the post game. How do you respond to this decision to go for it down one with an opportunity to tie?
I like the call. I think Ron did for a couple of reasons. And the main reason, I think, is he took the ball away from Gano and put it squarely in Cam's hands. And I think he did it hoping to spur the team. If we get the 2-point conversion, now we're on defense. We played pretty good the last couple of series defensively, and we hold them and win the game. Now we have a big win at Detroit, and we're coming home against Seattle, and I think, we've got some momentum. I really do believe that. I think he was hoping to generate a spark by going for two, and of course getting the win. Just didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Cody, the Bluebirds come out all the time when things do not work out. In fact, Brother Herbert's in the chat room right now screaming about how he wanted Ron to go for it. I want to pose this to you, and I'm going to give you the mic, Cody. I feel like half the time we complain about Ron being fake aggressive, as well as as truly not a riverboat Ron, which he's not. We know that. But all we have complained about, or a large group of people have complained about, is the offense not being able to take the bull by the horns, to have the confidence, the explosiveness, put up the points and go win the game. And in the time that the Panthers try to do that, really truly have an opportunity to do that, now some people are upset that we could have played it more conservatively. We could have just tried to tie it up after a field goal kicker had missed a field goal and extra point, and then ask our defense to hold them to less than 40 yards. Cody, I think I'm with Joey here on the aggressive call. Where are you at?
Yeah, 100%. And, listen, you can't have it both ways. If we're going to criticize Ron Rivera for not being aggressive enough and not really wanting to cement the football game and take it out of the other team's hands and go forward and win and be aggressive, well, I mean, that's what happens sometimes when you do. And another reason why I'm not mad at Ron Rivera for making that call is because you have the best goal line quarterback in the NFL. And I have a clip that I want to play real fast that I think highlights the mindset behind why Ron Rivera would decide to do something like that. So we're going to jump to Chris Carter on First Things First.
Do the players resent that, CC, when you know what your head coach is doing? When you know what your head coach is doing? Do the players say, well, that's not the right decision?
Well, this is the thing. It was the right decision. Coaching philosophy has always been on the road, go for the win. If you're the home team, play for the tie because you have the home crowd and everything. Also, forget what the normal theory is. I have the best athlete that's ever played the position. It's hard for Ron Rivera to ever be wrong. He is the most dynamic two-way quarterback that's ever played this team. 99 years, 245. 245. All right. And if you got that guy, and if that guy can't get you the 2-point conversion with the way he was playing, then you're in trouble. Cam has been playing some of the best football of his career from the pocket. And you could see they only rushed 4, and the nose guard was almost like a spy. He didn't rush at all. And he's the one that caused Cam problems. That's why Cam panicked at the last minute in the fundamentals. Watch his lead foot, his left leg. It stepped out to his left, and it didn't step to his target. That's why his ball sailed. It's also been one of Cam's problems throughout his career. He was great in this game in the most critical moment. That's why your fundamentals are important, and it's hard to repeat them. And in that moment, he rushed and he jumped, didn't step to his target and stick it on. He knew. And afterwards, you could see the growth. I knew a Cam Newton, MVP of the league, who couldn't finish answering questions at the Super Bowl. Yesterday, he did the right thing.
So there was apparently there was a bit of an echo in the chat. I don't know where that was coming from, but mainly the sentiment is that when Cam Newton has been playing so well, he has been throwing dimes all over the field. We all know that his completion percentage has been higher than it ever has before. I mean, Cam Newton is playing great football. And you put the ball in his hands, and I feel like most times he does make that play. And, I mean, the fact of the matter is he didn't make the throw. There was pressure, not necessarily pressure, but Snacks Harrison's was putting his hands up. I mean, maybe the ball would have been batted down, but ultimately in the end, Cam has to make that throw. And, I mean, you're looking at some of the biggest Cam Newton apologists that you will ever see. Brandon Herbert says I am all the time. Tony Dunn, we all talk about how incredible Cam Newton is, but the person overall that thinks that they have to be better and make that kind of throw, I mean, that's Cam Newton himself.
I think today was just perfect indication of guys just taking turns making mistakes. And that's unacceptable. And that's unacceptable. The caliber team that we are, the caliber team that we are, the caliber team that we know we can be, that we need to be, the caliber team that we need to be. It's just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. Perfect example. 2-point conversion. I got to make that 2-point conversion. I got to make that play. Other times in the game, another person makes mistakes. We're better than that, and it's just we're better than that, and it's just a lack of focus.
So some people have lauded Cam Newton for his response to this moment. And I deserve is that I do believe he should be complimented in a way, as in, look, he's continuing to grow into a man. But these are all things we knew were happening anyway. So I am to the point where I defend Cam Newton so much when he does what I already know he does. Now I feel like if I compliment it, I'm like letting y'all feel like you win. I've been watching him do these types of things all the time. I've seen him on the sidelines being a big player, big leader to this team. Cam Newton has played tremendously. I hope that Tim Tizzy says, so the echo, is it still going on right now?
I'm hearing it. No, it's mainly when we play a video, I think. But I hear it on my end.
I'm not hearing it.
I think I fixed it. I think that I had something looping myself.
I wanted to say that I didn't get to talk about people wanting this riverboat run to be run all the time, and then when he makes a riverboat run call, people get pissed.
Right.
And you can't have it both ways, people. It's got to be one or the other. And you want a head coach that's going to do everything you can to get the team to win the game. And not hope the win happens, but actually aggressively go and take the win. And that's what he was trying to do Sunday. It just didn't work out. Really, it seems to me, I didn't get to participate Sunday. So what are your thoughts about Cam just pulling that ball down and running it in?
A lot of people felt that he should have And it's funny that you mentioned that, Joey. I was about to grab the clip. Cam Newton did a Thanksgiving thing where he gives out food to children and other families around Charlotte. And he said that there were even children asking him. I mean, we're talking 5 and 6 year old kids now. They're asking Cam Newton why he didn't run it in at the goal line. And so, apparently you're not the only one that thought that way. I kind of feel, listen, players, they don't, everything that's said in the media and on Twitter and online, the players hear that stuff. And Cam Newton has been everyone talks about how he does it on the feet, but not necessarily in the passing department, and the accuracy is up and down. And I feel like Cam Newton, especially now that he's playing so well, wants to continue to prove himself, saying, listen, with the ball in my hand, I can do what every other quarterback in the NFL does. And it didn't happen for him. Am I mad that, that it didn't happen? Yeah. Could he maybe have run the football in? Yeah. But at the end, I still think, 9 or 8 times out of 10, Cam Newton makes that throw. But he just didn't that time. So now you just have to move on.
Cam is entitled to make a mistake, right? Could Cam have won the game for us? Surely. I mean, it was right there. Now, why didn't he run it in? Why didn't you go power Cam up the middle, or whatever option, whatever they could do that was creative, running him down there? I think it comes back to his ankle there. I don't think that right at this point there was a real scare there. He was hurt. He was hurting for a moment on that field, to the point where we were starting to worry if it was a knee. That was the question. That another thing is that you want to ask is, that to me looked like a late hit. It looked like a hit where a bunch of people fell on his legs on either on purpose or inadvertently, if you want to defend him. So I do believe the ankle had something to do with them not running Cam. But at the same time, too, Cam has been dealing. He threw 68% of his passes. He has been on point, man. So look, is that Cam made a throw that Cam has been known to throw. He's thrown some great throws in that game. He threw some beautiful throws that were dropped in that game. In fact, I want to talk about that for a moment. And there was some mistakes here. And look, as we can come down, the whole point, I like the component, that clip that Cam displayed in the press conference that said, look, I take accountability fully for the mistake that I have, that I made, and the potential opportunity I blew. But we made mistakes collectively. And Devin Funchess had like 5 drop passes in this game.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know why he stayed in the game, frankly. I don't know why Cam kept throwing the ball, because he was dropping more than he was catching, and it was in his head. It had gotten to his head, and I would have kept him on the sideline if I was Ron Rivera, not as punishment, but because it's such a tight game. You need people out there who are, confident and their head's in it. And I don't think his head was in it. Speaking about Funchess.
I don't think so either. And, a lot of the decisions that were made have been very divisive. I mean, even going for it at the end, Bat Daddy 42 in our shindig, he basically brings up that, if you go for it right there at the end of the ball game, I mean, you lose if you don't make it. So that's something that, again, I like what you said, Joey. It's like we have said so often that we want Ron Rivera to take these chances, and the fact that he did it right there. Also the fact that it wasn't Devin Funchess that he was throwing it to. He was throwing it to a short wide receiver in Jarius Wright that can get open. But you might say that it should have been Curtis Samuel. I kind of think so too. But I don't know, man. You want to win the football game on the road, and with Devin dropping so many passes and everything just seemingly not going our way, I'm really not mad at any of the calls that were made.
So where I'm with Joey on this is I almost think it should have been potentially a punishment, and maybe not a punishment as in bad boy punishment, but here as that continually we hear that you have to earn your spot in this game. You have to there's always somebody hungry to take your position. And we've seen Ron Rivera, and look, I mean, the very fact that Ron Rivera didn't go pick it, right, is that he didn't go. He was worried and concerned about Gano. He admitted this to a certain degree. So he does hold this. He is like production matters. And so for me at this point, one of the questions is maybe it's not a punishment as much on punches, but maybe there are other guys, like you said, that are playing with more confidence, more ability. And Cody, let's go ahead and cue up that clip about potentially what happens when you play Funchess. And there are two other guys we have forgotten to mention that DJ Moore had the biggest career game since Steve Smith in like 2005 or something like that as a wide receiver. Yeah. This guy was out there balling, and I am sick of people talking about like he is not yet route, like it's his routes. It's routes. Well, I heard that Frank Garcia say this on WFNZ this week. He said, well, there's other things that you have to do as a wide receiver other than going and getting the ball. And I tweeted him, and I said, thank God there are other things that you have to do, because that's the one thing Devin Funchess didn't do in this game. I think at sometimes you got to start thinking about going to the hot hands, rewarding the guys that are producing, and really making this a game that rewards merit and production. Cody, let's go ahead and cue that up.
I don't give a damn when Torrey Smith comes back. I don't care if Devin Funchess goes out and has 200 yards against Seattle. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel from here on out should be your starting wide receivers.
I don't understand it. I genuinely, it doesn't make sense. Now, this is where I start to go into the coaching staff. This is where I think the decisions that they make on the players that are on the field, they absolutely belong in the crosshairs, because Curtis Samuel has touched the ball 25 times this season, and he scored 5 touchdowns. I mean, that is an astronomical rate. I mean, it's
not a coincidence or a small sample size.
No, you put him on the field.
Indicative.
No, and he makes plays. And look, he's breaking tackles. He's running crisp routes. He's making plays downfield. Like, he's doing it all at every level. He's not a gadget guy. He's not a guy that works. You just fit him into one little box and, okay, well, here's our Curtis Samuel package. No, this guy is a bona fide number 1 caliber receiver. Now, he's probably not there yet. I mean, he's not even Kenny Golladay yet, but he's the way Kenny Golladay looked yesterday. But that guy has the potential. That guy has the potential to be number 1 wide receiver material.
Yeah.
You don't have – Devin Funchess doesn't have that.
I mean, absolutely hit the nail on the head. And when he says, no, that you don't have a Curtis Samuel package, I mean, I have never agreed with him more than I did hearing that clip. I mean, it's asinine the amount of plays that we have Curtis Samuel in on, and that we don't have him in more.
There's no way that DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel should not be the starting wide receivers. I understand that Funchess has been there longer, and he may be more familiar with the playbook, but he cannot make the plays, the type of plays that Samuel and Moore can make. Those guys can take the catch anywhere on the field and take it to the house. Devin Funchess is not that guy.
Number 1 brother says Moore and Samuel are our future. What we're calling for them is to be our now.
Yeah,
I think is that when we turned. Look, we watched last night one of the highest scoring games in NFL history, the 3rd highest scoring game in NFL history, in a Monday night football game. You know, is that everybody's been saying that, and the only thing that made it a great game to me, Joey, is that defenses actually scored touchdowns in this game. That was the only defense they played. I was like, good God, it was too much offense for me.
Yeah.
But it was like exactly what the NFL, if they could clone games, that is what they would clone. But there was an explosiveness there that you saw, particularly with those Kansas City wide receiver Hunt, right? And with the hit, those two guys, they have that ability right there that I think in this NFL, now that you cannot be as handsy as a corner, and that we're protecting quarterbacks more, and we're making this like, hey, look, we're also protecting guys who run across the middle now. You know, there used to be a business in the NFL of guys that were big and strong enough and dumb enough to run across the middle. And those guys made money late in their career because they were wide receivers that would do it. But now the rules are favoring guys potentially that are like Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. They're big and strong enough to take whatever hits you can throw at them in this NFL. And they're elusive and explosive enough to make a big change. So I'm wondering here is where I guess the point that we're really kind of at least disappointed with the Funchess thing is we've seen a lot of Funchess. And I understand he's only 24 years old, but I feel like we have a lot of tape on him. And you know what? It hasn't changed that much. It really, I would say he's gotten better. Right? But
That's fair.
Last year, not this week, that's for sure. Not better enough after 3. Here's the thing is that if Curtis Samuel was playing like that after 3 straight years, would you be satisfied with his progression? I say no. If he was Devin Funchess.
No. I here's how I see it. Devin Funchess' best is not even good enough to be better than Moore or Samuel right now. Does that make sense? Devin Funchess' best is not better than Samuel or Moore right now. So why is he starting over them? You understand what I mean?
It's only because of diversity. Now, the one thing that you can say in honor is this, is we used to criticize them for starting Funchess and Benjamin and having a duplication of talent, a multiple, you know. So now I guess is that I think they're concerned they get too small if they go DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. But like again, I think it's time. I think that Funchess lost his job this week.
Yeah, and you know what this reminds me of, guys? Remember last year, I think we played the Bears, and Jonathan Stewart, he fumbled the ball like 3 different times in the football game. And at that point, we're screaming for Ron Rivera to put in Cameron Artis-Payne and give him the looks. Let's see who else might have the more hot hand on the day. And he just wouldn't do it, kept on going back to Jonathan. I think it's a coaching thing. I think that even with Devin Funchess having such a bad day, I mean, he just has faith in the players that he has faith in, and he's just not willing to pull them out. He's just going to continue to push them out there and make them fight through whatever they're fighting through. And I don't think that's a good thing to do when you have better talent on your team that are more capable of making better plays. And we saw Samuel and DJ Moore do it in the most clutch of moments. I mean, that's why Panther Nation is so fed up with Ron Rivera not playing our young, dynamic receivers that we have on the team.
I want to pivot. The one thing we haven't done yet is talk anything about defense, right? And we do have to at least give this a brief discussion before we go on to the cat calls. But I'm going to pivot on this because, and I've got a clip from Ron Rivera about how he's evaluating some younger defensive players. But to me, I go back and think about this, is that you think about DJ Moore sitting there on the sidelines as Torrey Smith's out there. You think of Matt. I feel like here, look, a lot of Moton sitting on the sidelines as other guys struggle out there. You've go back to Norwell, earned his job to an injury. A lot of very slow to move to the younger guy or the hotter hands. And here is Ron Rivera when he's asked about why he had Marquise Haynes on the roster this week. I don't think it's a bad idea of having Haynes out there and trying to get some action with different guys, but I thought this was slightly a bizarre answer.
You guys decided to have Marquise Haynes active at defensive end. Was that in an effort to kind of jumpstart the pass rush?
It was in an effort to find out what the young man can do. We've got 3 young guys that we've got to find out if they can play in this league, and they got to be able to develop. And the only way they can is if you play young guys. We had an extra spot. I wanted to see a little more of Brian Cox, but also I'm going to give Marquise a chance to play, especially on the turf. Real explosive guy, and see if that helped him any, help us.
So for me, guys, what is interesting about this clip here, when you think about the evaluation process, I just find it funny. This is when we're trying to figure out if guys can play. Like, it took you 3 years to figure out who Devin Funchess is. It took you 3.5 years to find out if Cap can play. Oh, we got to give him an opportunity. We got to cut C.J. Anderson and see if this guy can play. Now we got to see if these guys have NFL talent. So let's try it in the middle of a game. The evaluation process here is bizarre, slightly bizarre to me. And when I say bizarre, is I just want Rivera to have some more balls when it comes to saying, hey, this guy can play and we're ready to get him some snaps. Instead of feeling like we're trying to see if he can be on the team. You activated him. I thought it was a weird thing, but it's also been as weird as our defense. Joey, this defense cannot stop the run. Ron Rivera tried to defend it in the press conference and say, oh, it was just a couple of plays. But that's all it takes in a run game is a couple of plays. We have been getting gashed. Everybody looks out of sorts. Even the linebackers look pedestrian. Joey, this defense, like our show, the title of it, Missing. Where did the pass rush go?
Well, I think part of it is bringing in homeboy from Atlanta. Her name escapes me right now. The defensive tackle?
Dontari Poe.
Yeah, Poe. He has come in and been terrible. I watched him, and he was getting pushed around a lot. It seemed like he was getting very little effort, to tell you the God's honest truth. Missed tackles will kill a defense, especially when the team's running the ball. And that has been a problem for us, tackling. And I don't know why. It's something we were known for as being one of the best tackling teams in the league. And going to the linebackers, I think because of the very inconsistent play at defensive tackle, the linebackers aren't staying unblocked enough to make plays. And you know, it's so bad. It really is so bad. We've been such a model of consistency as a defensive unit for so many years, and now that's not who we are. Teams know that they can run on us, and they know that we are susceptible to the pass.
Yeah. And, I said that in our post game on Sunday, that it didn't matter if it was Kerryon Johnson from Detroit or Devontae Freeman for Atlanta. It doesn't matter what team decides to do it. Everyone's running the football on us. And I think Tony hit the nail on the head a few weeks ago that it's like a kick in the balls. I mean, this team has been a run-stuffing team for such a long time. you might be able to throw the ball on us. You might be able to burn us downfield, but damn it, you're not running the football on this front seven. And to have teams just do it time and time again. I mean, I don't know what's happening with the coaching or whatever, but I mean, when you saw Luke Kuechly just flat out miss that tackle, I forget who he was going after, but Luke just flat out missed, man. And he didn't even miss. It's like he didn't wrap up. Like everyone forgot the fundamentals of playing football, and it's infuriating. And I don't know. Yeah, fundamentals, and I don't know what's happening that's causing all that to go out the window. Man.
I'll tell you, this is what's happening. I know the defense. First of all, and I hope that my microphone gets better. I don't know what to do. Live TV.
It does sound better.
It does.
You guys nailed that. Look, Dontari Poe has been a bust right now. It didn't work out. It hasn't worked out to this point. And the reason why is there's either two ways to look at this. Is that either he's a bust or Vernon Butler is better than we expected. And I don't believe that's the case because they have been cycling guys far more frequently than they did in the past. Not that I'm saying that you shouldn't do that, but you just notice that Poe is not out. If he was playing really, really well, they wouldn't take him out as much.
Right, he'd be in every snap. Remember, that's how Star was. It was Star and KK. All the time they were on the field.
The other thing is that Star always played on KK's left. And a lot of times they're putting now Star on the left and Poe on the right. So he has not made the impact. But let's not single out Poe alone. Mario Addison has not played particularly well, while he has gotten some sacks that have not been sacks. By the way, if you go back and look at those sacks, a lot of those are cleanup coverage sacks, or somebody else has done anything. So I'm not saying he doesn't deserve those sacks, but he's made some mistakes on over pursuing and run and some various things. KK Short has been swallowed up in double teams, but also maybe is showing signs of age a little bit, a little wear and tear on the tires. You know, the tread is starting to wear down. And then Julius Peppers is over there, and he's like 90 years old. Here's the problem. The defense is tired. That defensive front is working really hard and not getting a ton of results. They get tired. That's when Mario Addison over pursues. And then this is translating into as well the linebackers being playing a little fatigued. But when you're fatigued, you start to make mistakes and you start to also try to make up for those mistakes a little too hard. So what this is a trickle down because they can't get off the field. This is a problem. The Panthers, like you said, Joey, are showing signs of age on that defensive line. And I think that maybe it would have been okay if we had a powerhouse on the left and then we asked Mario Addison to be a 3-down defensive end. But to ask him to be the number one 3-down defensive end tires him out too much. This defense is fatigued, and, man, it's translating into pedestrian linebacker play.
Here, I'm going to tie this all together and put a nice bow on it. When you are tired, when you are, exhausted, you haven't come out of the game, you get away from your fundamentals. And when you get away from your fundamentals, that's when bad things happen for you. So, put that together and kind of see where we are.
And even just being tired, I mean, if anything, and this is another thing, it goes back to Devin Funchess dropping passes on second and third down. When your defense is always on the field, that leads to them being more tired. And then that leads to them taking shortcuts and resorting to shoulder tackles over wrapping them up. You're frustrated. So one, you're trying to blow them up and get a big hit, but then you're also, you're just trying anything at this point to move the game forward. You're not thinking about the fundamentals that you've been coached up on over and over again. So yeah, it just seems like a real comedy of errors.
You're playing behind the 8 ball. And here is where it really, the one stat that you probably can see it, and I'm not a super stats guy and a bean counter, but if we went and found some people, I'm sure there are some out there listening to this podcast. There's a reason the Panthers offense had limited snaps last week, and the Panthers didn't give up a ton of points. See, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to say, oh, you only gave up 20 points. The defense only gave up 20 points. That's good enough. This offense needs to go put up 35. They need to do something to that effect. But here's the thing is the Panthers had some really limited possessions because the defense may not have surrendered points, but they could not get off the field, which then led to more fatigue and more mistakes. So that's what we saw. The Carolina Panthers defense is not winning one-on-one matchups on the defensive line. It has been a disappointment. Dontari Poe has been a complete disappointment. Vernon Butler is verging on a bust. And KK Short is starting to look human. We don't have a Aaron Donald. We don't have a J.J. Watt or a Khalil Mack. And it's starting to show. And I'm sad that Julius Peppers is being associated with it because he's the one out there making with the most production, and he should not be playing like 89% of the snaps.
Right. He's playing way too much.
I mean, a guy that was drafted in 2002 is currently our go-to guy for sacking the quarterback. I mean, that tells you we have a problem. And listen, I'm just going to be honest. I've never seen anything in my life like Aaron Donald before. I mean, I put it on Twitter last night. Like, that guy isn't fair. Like, I don't know how he really even exists. I mean, that guy is incredible. I mean, in my mind, he's already a Hall of Famer. But even adding someone like that, that's the importance of pass rush. That's why I'll never understand what John Gruden did over in Oakland and getting rid of Khalil Mack. When you have a blue chip pass rusher like that, they change the football game. Routinely, they change the football game. And it's just clear that right now Carolina does not have one of those players.
I'll tell you why Gruden did it because he knew he could not win this year. And his clearing house, man, is that it might be a smart thing to do for him, but Khalil Mack could be a game changer on a team like us that is competing for it. And we just haven't had that. And we haven't had that really since we had Hardy, to be honest. I think he was the closest we've had to a guy that was dominant at his position. Aaron Donald, though, is a freak. But, guys, we got to get into the cat calls. This is your show. It's the voice of Panther Nation. We talked way more than we expected to. A lot to be talked about, though. The number is 252-228-5098. You can have your voice heard on the C3 Panthers podcast. While we're getting into these calls, go ahead and turn your phone to portrait mode. Smash that thumbs up button. Hit the bell and subscribe. Tell the person in the background to quiet whoever they are. I don't know who they are talking in the background. And, tell a friend about the podcast. That's what we like. You can be a part of it in the YouTube chat as well as the cat calls line 252-228-5098. Let's jump into these.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, I called in not too long ago. I don't even think my call's come up yet for the first time. But listening to these other callers, if you're going to call in and go ahead and count your team out of the playoffs, then why the fuck are you watching them play? You can't say Carolina's going to lose the last 2 or 3. Yes, the Saints are good. They're a great fucking football team this year. Don't get me wrong. But If you're going to say they're going to fucking lose, they don't even want
mouth.
You don't fucking care. These people calling for Graham Gano to be fired. Stop being bipolar, because I'm sure a couple weeks ago you were all up on his job when he kicked that 63-yard field goal to win.
Oh, nope.
Fair weather fans have no spot for me. I don't like them. They don't need to cheer for this team. We don't need them. Now, if we're going to put on a standpoint here, Carolina's got Seattle at home next week. Very winnable game. Seattle's hot right now, but Carolina's tough to beat at home. Once Cleveland going to Tampa can win. Got New Orleans coming to Carolina. Huge game. Got Atlanta to come to Carolina. Winnable. The only game that I see is super tough for Carolina at the end of the season is in New Orleans. So if you're going to go ahead and count your team out, then just stop watching them. Go cheer for the damn Patriots. Go cheer for somebody that has fair weather fans. We don't want you. And yes, it was not a bad idea to go for 2. No confidence in Gano today. The team was struggling. Ron Rivera made the right call. I agree with it 10 out of 10 times. So other than that, on to Seattle. Let's get this defensive line fired up. Seattle's offensive line's been terrible all year. Like I said, get the defensive fired up. Offense keep clicking. We'll walk out next weekend with a win. Go to 7-4. Keep pounding, Panther Nation.
All right. So overall, the call, enjoy a lot of it there, except for this, is I do want to remember this before we get all crazy on those anti-Graham Gano people. Now, firing Graham Gano at this point does nothing for our team. But I think it was J-Dub after the show last week said, hey, we're going to really regret that Harrison Butker thing for the next 10 years. I have been tepid, lukewarm at best when it comes to Graham Gano. And it comes back to this, because he missed a 50-yard field goal to start the second half of the Super Bowl. We were trading blows in that Super Bowl game, and there was an opportunity to get some points and really get some points after both of us landing some flurries and settling this down. Gano then goes on to the 2015 season and starts 3 of 6. The whole shine of the season rubbed off in one moment. 3 of 6 to start the regular season of the next year. 2 for 4 against the Denver Broncos. He finished 30 for 36, missed 3 extra points. I'm holding it against him, man. And I ask this to you guys, how long does that 63-yard field goal require me to give him grace? Cody, we can't fire Graham Gano. Maybe we should be a little kind to him because we're stuck with him. But I believe all the criticism is worthy.
Yeah, I mean, it is worthy, but then at the same time, there's no one right now that we're going to be able to pick up that's going to do any better. So there's a difference between being down and out on your team when they still have a chance to go forward and do some great things. And I do agree with the call. I mean, even us, when you're fresh off of a football game like that, the emotions are raw. You're thinking that your team is trash and terrible. I mean, so the emotions are right on the forefront of your mind. But as far as Graham Gano, I mean, I think this is going to be the man that we're going to have to live with for as long as he's the kicker with the Panthers. He'll make
till the end of the
year. He will make the kicks from plus 50 yards, and then he'll miss an extra point right after. I mean, there's a level of inconsistency, and I kind of feel that, I don't want to put it
inconsistency, though. Is it inconsistency, Cody, or is it him crumpling under pressure?
Well, I don't know, but then you heard them talking about stats on the show about how he had been 28 or something consecutive extra points in a row without missing. And yeah, I mean, I do think it might be a little bit of that. But I mean, it's hard for me to be down on him when consistency has been a problem with, I feel like, our entire football team. It's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type deal, 1 minute we're dominant, and our offense is taking the best defense in the NFL to task, and then we're stopping the Buccaneers, and they have a high-powered offense. Our defense is doing well there, but then all of a sudden you have this piss-poor performance against Pittsburgh and then Detroit. So, I mean, I'm not ready to rake Graham over hot coals for doing something that really our entire team has been doing. You kind of have to lump him in with everyone else at this point. I don't feel he's a liability at this point. How about that?
I'm always worried about Graham Gano winning games for us. Like, can he go and win the game for us? Now, he did with that 163-yarder. He went and won the game for us. But it's about the only one I've ever seen. Not a Graham Gano fan here, but what else are you going to do? Next cat call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, I called in not too long ago. I don't even think my call's come up yet for the first time.
Is that the same
But
call?
listening to these other callers.
Yep.
Hey, guys. This is from South Carolina again. That was a very upsetting loss. Like a few of you said already, it almost feels worse than the Steelers loss last weekend. But, yeah, I think I'm done with Ron Rivera. I really do. I think a lot of this inconsistency has got a lot, got a lot to do with him. When it's all said and done with, you got to look at who is running the team and who is superseding everybody, like you said. I'm not done with North Turner. I still think I love the guy.
Yeah, I'm a North Turner fan.
Some of the stuff we've seen out of this offense this year, that's coming from North Turner. I truly believe that. I don't understand the personnel decisions sometimes. I really don't. But still, not done with him. I think he's done great for us. I truly believe the best people, the best guys on our offense right now are McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. I am definitely done with punches. He's 4 years into NFL right now.
I agree.
And
I was right.
The choking. I'm done with him. I said it after 2 or 3 drops. Take him out. He's dead to me right now. And they don't take him out. I don't understand it. I really don't. But yes, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, they're 1 and 2. They're number 1 and number 2. And Jarius Wright. Move on from punches. And I think it's time to move on from Rivera. Luke Kuechly, I hear you all about him. Tony, I hear you about him. But I don't know. I saw him all over the field today. I feel like he might be missing stuff, but I don't know. He's still all over the field to me. I stand to be corrected though, but I don't know that he's one of the big problems. I still see him making a bunch of tackles, but Rivera and Parker, I'm done with it. Keep down the guys.
Great call there. Thank you for tuning in to the C3 Panthers podcast. That sounded like it actually came right after the postgame show, or right when the postgame show was over. Legacy Lines in the chat room says, I think all of our complaining will be taken care of. Pepper is not going to hang on to pieces / personnel that are thought to be losing games. Expect to see changes next year. So Ron Rivera tends to improve. He tends to improve as a coach, Joey, when he's on the hot seat. But Ron Rivera is the guy at this point that people are starting to eyeball as saying, here, it ultimately comes and falls back on your lap.
And it does, because the coach is the one that's making decisions on personnel and on his staff. Ultimately, it does come back to him. Now, I have to tell you that I'm not quite done with Ron Rivera, but I do think he has to make some serious changes. Whether that means him taking over the defense or what, he has to do some things different because what we're seeing out of this team right now doesn't concern any other team. They don't see us as nobody's worried about having Carolina come into their house to play them right now.
That's the truth.
And that's not how it should be. Obviously, we play better at home. But to be a real legit contender and to want to be able to make a deep playoff run, you gotta win on the road. And that's something we're not doing this year. And I think. Go ahead, Cody.
No, I mean, I was basically just gonna basically echo what you were saying. That winning on the road it's so important, and it's almost hard to trust this team. So okay, what happens if Seattle comes into town and we put up a dominant performance? I mean, I'm talking a truly dominant performance. And then we have to go to Cleveland right after that, and we have to wonder, oh my God, what's going to happen this time? I mean, I kind of do agree with our caller a little bit. If I'm just being honest, I don't know that I believe that we have the talent on this football team to be a championship contending football team. The talent. But I don't know if we are, because I don't know if we're coached to a championship football level. And, you talk about we have to make a change on our defense. We really have to do something to right the ship. But, we've talked about this before. This is a man who didn't play Andrew Norwell until Amini Silatolu got hurt. Didn't play Taylor Moton until also Amini Silatolu.
Amini Silatolu got hurt.
Yeah, got hurt. I mean, come on. Torrey Smith, it really does make you wonder, would we have seen even less of DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel if Torrey Smith was still healthy and on the field as of right now? Also, Torrey is supposed to be back for Seattle. So do we need to be worried that now we're going to see even less of our more dynamic players? I echo the sentiments of our caller. I'm just, at this point in time, after everything I've seen from Ron Rivera, I'm not confident that he's the guy to lead us to the promised land, even though we have the talent on the football team to do it.
There are strengths and weaknesses with every coach, right? And Ron Rivera's weakness has been he's really 2 moves behind a lot of times a necessary change. You heard him say we need to evolve the offense after the 2016 season. And then we didn't see any evolution of an offense, right? We see he's been slow to make these moves. I thought Norv Turner was going to bring the credibility to force him to do these things. Now, on the other hand, Ron Rivera has made us competitive, or has been a part of us being competitive each and every game. And while we are 6-4 right now, we did have an opportunity to win this game on the last play with the ball in our quarterback's hands. We did have an opportunity against Atlanta. The only game we weren't truly in was the Pittsburgh Steelers game. So a couple of plays made by players, and all of a sudden we're 8-2.
Yeah.
Is my mic still stuck in? Shaked told me to hit the Black Friday deals up.
Yeah. Hey, why not, man? Good deal. I don't. You sound fine to me. I don't. Yeah, I don't always know what the chat's hearing, but you sound good right now.
Thank you. I think that sounds good too. Are you picking up what I'm putting? Is the question. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
I'm picking it up, wrapping it in an early Christmas present, serving it to everyone I know. I'm re-gifting what you're putting down, my friend.
There is a scary thing, guys, is while Ron Rivera, and all of this could be replaced. I think the one argument for replacing Ron Rivera is replacing everything all at once. Instead of trying to remodel the dining room, is that like you can't? I mean, we all love North Turner on this podcast. I believe we all think that he has been a positive addition. But you can't keep North Turner and get rid of Ron Rivera. You know, like you either need to clean house or let Ron Rivera do it. So the argument I think there is that this has been a piecemeal staff and organization, and Tepper may just blow it up and say, let's start fresh and see where it goes. But that's also scary, Joey, given the fact that we have been to the Super Bowl, we've been to the playoffs several times. Ron Rivera hasn't been a bad coach.
No, he's not been a bad coach. He's been maybe inconsistent, No, I guess that's not even fair to say.
He hasn't beaten teams. He himself has not beaten a team.
Won any games for us.
Like where we said, oh my God, the coach. Oh my God. Right. You hear about Belichick, you hear McVay, you hear Andy Reid. And maybe you don't need your head coach to always do that, but I don't know if I've ever thought of one time where he did that.
But it's like when you're in middle school and that new young girl from out of state moves in and you're looking at her and she's got this exotic look to her. Okay, yeah, so listen, when you're on, so he still remembers the name, everyone. Okay, so listen then. When you watch Monday Night Football last night and you see Sean McVay and you see Andy Reid and you see the kind of game that they're calling. Listen, you don't have to like 50 plus points and no defense. I understand that. I like watching a quality defense. But when you're watching those types of coaches, like Ron Rivera might never coach a game where we do what we saw last night. And again, it's not that we don't have the talent to do it. In fact, I kind of think that the players on our team are kind of comparable to Kansas City in a weird way. Even if it's not the A++ players, we have the quarterback. We have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and similar enough personnel to do that kind of thing. But we all know that Ron Rivera is not Sean McVay. He's not Andy Reid. I mean, it's not even close to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't think he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Yeah.
But Ron Rivera is a good guy to have in the foxhole, though.
Yes.
Ron Rivera doesn't get... See, this is actually the type of season that Ron Rivera potentially coaches best. We're all panicking. But look at Cam Newton and these guys. Now, they're upset, but this is not over. We need to start thinking about this, is that while we are upset that these games haven't gone our way, this team could fight and scrap towards the end. The question is, can they get past the Saints? Right now, those stupid Saints look so great that is the bugaboo for us. But Ron Rivera is a guy that has steadied the ship in the past when things have been on troubled waters. Let's go to the next call on the Cat Calls line.
Sorry, guys, I forgot to mention about Gano. This is Justin again, out of Charleston, South Carolina. Gano, I think he fits really well with the team. Reason is because he's inconsistent, and that's what the Panthers are. for a few years now. Inconsistent. Can't have back-to-back winning seasons. But I guess I'm being facetious about Gano, but he is, yes, he's inconsistent. But in the end, I don't know that we. Maybe some people say differently, but I don't know that we lost the game because of Gano. I mean, yes, if he makes that extra point and field goal, it helps us out. But look at Funches. He's just as much to blame. And you think about it in the game, we were third, 8, one of those times, one of those drives, and Cam Newton goes down the field to Funches, and Funches jumps too early and drops the ball.
All on Funches.
But
oh crap! It was on the dime.
Why go on third and 8? Go down the field. We were trying to catch.
I don't like
but
this.
It didn't work. I mean, why not run Cam? Why not run McCaffrey? We were doing well with that. I mean, I think McCaffrey can pick up 2 yards.
All right, I'm going to stop that call there. I'm going to ask you guys this. Because I've heard a couple of people say this. Oh, you just need a first down. You just need this. Cam Newton threw a perfect ball. Right? He threw a deep ball on the money, on a dime, and Devin Funches jumped without needing to jump. And he could have been running all the way to the end zone. I don't like the idea of people saying you made the right read. You had the opportunity to blow up this defense. You made the perfect play, but we wish you would have done something else. I'm sorry. You know what I wish more than anything is not that we did something else. That Devin Funches catches that ball at 6'5" on a 6-foot dude who had all day to do it, was looking at the damn ball. It was in his hands. He could have had a touchdown. That's what I'm sad about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. And listen, I tried to be fair in my assessment because I remember on a few of our shows, even a few weeks ago, I said that the connection between Cam Newton and Devin Funches is the strongest between any wide receiver on the team. Maybe that isn't Greg Olsen. You know what I mean? But there have been times, I remember in that Philadelphia game, and that on that touchdown, that was the one that kind of got us back into the rhythm. Cam really does have a connection with him. And we even saw it when Kelvin Benjamin was here. Cam Newton would try and force feed Kelvin Benjamin the ball. And we all saw how that worked out, So I do think another piece of the equation that maybe we're not even bringing up is that when Cam is throwing to Devin Funches, maybe that's just Cam saying, all right, I'm going to let my boy have another shot. I'm going to let my boy have another shot. I'm going to let him have another shot. And then his boy keeps on dropping those shots.
Yeah, he does. He keeps spilling them all over the bar. I am sorry, is that it's time for Devin Funches to take a break. I don't even need a benching. I think Joey mentioned this earlier in the show. Not a punishment. Just take him out. Let him get a breather. Is that, and I don't like this idea like, oh, you can just pick up the first down. No, is that if you can make the play, make the play. It was right. It was the right read. It was the right call. It was the right throw. It was not a catch. That's it. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's keep going with these calls.
Hey guys, Josh from Mass actually called in for the post game today, but didn't get too crazy on things. Just kind of quiet and a little speechless. I think most of us were after seeing what we saw today. This was supposed to be the bounce back game. This was supposed to be the return to form, the explosive offense, and the big plays, and the dynamic duo of Cam and CMC. And we just didn't see it, at least not to the extent we've gotten maybe a little prematurely accustomed to. But I mean, you go back and you watch some of this game and you look at some of the things we all brought up during the last podcast. And I think the number one thing that sticks out is Funches is not a number one.
Nope.
wideout, and I'm starting to question whether he's even a reliable number two.
I'm with you.
Bad tackling, out of position, and just really an overall lack of aggression from really all counts. Nothing really stuck out as aggressive as this team is going after it, whether it was the play calling, whether it was the execution, whether it was any of it. None of it seemed very aggressive or just wasn't carried out as such. And then you look at special teams all day, we were dealing with bad field position. I think it was the majority of the time we were starting from inside of our own 15 or our own, inside the 20 rather than at the 20. And that just doesn't do any favors for our offense. And now we've got this, Graham Gano's lack of consistency rearing its head again. It's another killer. You have a kicker and whether it's extra points or field goals, you need to come away with something. And to see that, again, fail on two accounts today, just killer, especially in a game you lose by one and you miss a field goal and an extra point, 4 points, not on the board. That's 3 points you might have won by, or maybe a chance to go into overtime. But then another kind of thing I noticed on the offense is we didn't convert third down today. Worth a damn.
Truth.
I guess going forward, the only thing I can say is I hope these guys are becoming a little more reliable, both in position and performance. This team's just got to get together and start holding each other accountable for their mistakes, because there are some guys who are out there doing what they can, but you can only outplay the mistakes of everybody else on the team so much. And, even the O-line today didn't look great. It looked better than it did against Pittsburgh, but it didn't look great. It didn't enthuse me going forward. And this team really, as far as playoffs, we're just trying to win a damn game. All I got, pounding boys, and hopefully we get this ship righted before we bumble into the playoffs, because I think we're a playoff team. But
all right, so going to that, Cody, we've talked incessantly about how this team has struggled, right? How they've had difficulties, but they are in contention for a wild card run right now.
Yeah.
There is this offense is the most talented offense that we have seen so far in recent memory, in any memory really, for Carolina. I think it's explosive, as more so than 2015. In my opinion, I think we got the good talent on the. I almost want to say we're an offensive team. I think we are, actually. So I'm not ready to write ourselves off, but is it time to continue to think here is that this team has an opportunity to pull out of this nosedive, or are we in a tailspin we can't get out of?
Listen, it comes down to how bad do you want it? We're not the only ones that see what the Saints are doing. The Panthers know exactly what their division rivals are up to. They know that the season is still out in front of us. And if you want it bad enough, you're not going to ask for permission. You're going to take it. Because that's what champions do. We're not playing, patty cake here. We're playing football. And if this team wants it bad enough, then they'll have it. And I do believe that about this team. If you want it, you fight tooth and nail for it. You want it like you want your next breath of air. And if our team wants it bad enough, if they have the desire to do it, as I've said, the pieces are in place. Even on our non-existent defense, man, we have the personnel. If they ever decide to turn it on and be as dominant as they have the potential to be, then yeah, this team can still go as far as they want to. Our season is not over. Our hopes at the Super Bowl are not over. Hell, the Giants won the Super Bowl as a wild card. I mean, people forget that, So this team has the potential to do whatever it wants to do, but the way that we have been playing is not acceptable. And we have to win on the road, as Joey said before.
I think that's exactly where we're at. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this team has talent. It really does. I just don't know I don't know how hungry they are, man. You'd think they'd be starving. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't seen them play with a passion, like a high
Not
level
on
of
all sides of the
intensity.
ball. Not on
Right.
all sides of the ball. I think we saw
Right.
it on offense, but our defense right there, we just felt like we could not be a playoff team with that defense that we saw this past week, and really in recent weeks. Cody's pointed this out. I mean, we haven't held anybody to under 20 hardly.
Right, and that is not a recipe for winning, especially in the playoffs. I mean, you look at the Saints, and everybody knows them for their offense, how explosive they are, and they can hurt in so many different ways. But that defense is pretty good. They have a great defensive line that can put pressure on the quarterback, and they have a very good secondary that can cover. And yeah, you got the Rams and you got the Chiefs. They can light it up, but they can't stop each other from scoring. And I think that's where the Saints have an advantage. They can cover. So I think the Saints are the best team in the league right now, and they're in our division. So we've got to get it together because we played them 2 out of the last 3 weeks. So if we're going to make a playoff run, get it together, baby.
That's right. You got to get it together. Get it
Joey
together.
spit
Come
hot
on.
truth.
And
Hot
this
truth
defense
like
has
Joe
got to get it
Regalado.
together. All right, you guys carry me through this next call. Cody, can you carry me through this next call?
I got you, baby. I'm the wind beneath your wings.
Hey, Josh again. I ran a little long this time.
It's Josh
But yeah,
again.
no, I think we're a playoff team going forward. I just question what caliber team we're going to be. Are we going to be a one and done? Because we're going to be a wild card team. Let's just face that reality now. We're not going to steal this from the Saints. We're just not. And I think, and I say that with, even if we beat them twice, like some Christmas miracle, we beat them twice, and we beat Atlanta in the middle. Even if we do that, you got to remember we're still hoping that somebody else can stunt them, somebody else can beat them, and maybe Pittsburgh will do it, maybe, depending on which Pittsburgh shows up. You look at the Pittsburgh that showed up in Jacksonville today.
Yeah.
You got to remember these are guys who can't beat the Patriots year in and year out. And they see them all the time. We rarely see the Patriots, and we usually pull that fucking game out. So, I don't think we can count on anybody to stop them and do us a favor. I really don't. That, and by that point in the year, I mean, Pittsburgh's firmly number 2, and they're not going to be able to catch who's number 1 or whatever. They could very well just sit. Who cares? Why go out and really put up that fight? Anyhow, back to us. I think we're a playoff team. It's just what's going to happen when we get there. Because we're not going to have a home game, which, as looking at the season already, that means we're done. That's it. One and done. If we don't get a home game, in my mind right now, we're one and done. That's it. So,
mean
mentality. I think everything's there. The people are there. Talent is there. It's just an attitude and a mentality and accountability and reliability that these guys need to just grasp. Anyway, love the podcast, guys. Keep pounding, and can't wait to hear it on Tuesday.
Great call. So,
Cody, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me put it to you this way. This is my nightmare scenario in this division. Imagine that we beat the Saints twice. Okay, and I know that right now they're the boogeyman, not only in our division but in the NFL. Say we beat them 2 times, but they still are ahead of the division just because they have the better record. Say that we're I mean, just imagine they went out, but we're the only two losses they have the rest of the season, and they still get a home playoff game, and then we still have to go to the Superdome or wherever the hell we would have to go, and not have and not have one. All right, you want revenge? So you want us to do what they did to us last year, and I'm not mad at that. But in my opinion, I would be really upset if we were not able to win the division because of a game like Detroit or a game like Washington, where we should have won that, but just didn't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those games that we lost when we know we were the better team and should have won, not can, but will come back to haunt us. And if we don't close out the year like we are supposed to, we won't make the playoffs. So, we really have to refocus, and we have to really commit to playing Panther football. And it's on the coaches. The coaches have to get us focused, and they have to get us fired up, because that's something that has been lacking.
And that's where I'm really a little slightly. I love Ron Rivera. He is the rock. He's able to maintain us, right? But at the same time, is he able to really rev us up? Is he too even keel? Maybe at times, I think, or some people are wondering. All right, so look, right now there's over 30 people watching the podcast. There's 14 thumbs up on YouTube. Turn your phones portrait mode. Smash those thumbs up. That's right. I'm talking to the other, I think it's 18, if I do my math right. The other 18 people right now. Smash that thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell and call the Cat Calls line 252-228-5098. Let's keep pounding through these calls.
Hey, fellas, this is D. Carey again from Richmond, Virginia. And another thing, with the NFL, I thought they were trying to protect quarterbacks so damn much. When Cam got sacked and was hit low, I don't know if it was by Ziggy Ansah or what, but wouldn't that be a flag? Because I could have swore,
hell yeah, it should have been.
Could have been a fucking 15-yard penalty. Just for the fact that they went low. I don't know if they rolled up on him or what, but whoever that hit him low after he threw the fucking ball. So I feel as if that should have been a flag. And two, you guys remember that catch that DJ Moore had, the long 82-yarder? See how he caught the ball with his hands, strong hands? Yeah, maybe we should start preaching that to our damn receivers named Devin Funches. Curtis Samuel, his touchdown pass that he caught, hands, strong hands, to catch the ball, jump in the air, catch the ball, and hold possession. So, again, coaches, aka Ron Rivera, can you please make sure, or just give them all the power to North Carolina to let him do what he do, man? Because I promise you, Ron Rivera likes players that's been there for a long time. He doesn't like change, just sudden change. It takes a while for him to get with the program, but it's like, come on, man, like our offense can really be dealing with the firepower that we have. We haven't had this firepower in a long time. With DJ Moore,
ever.
Samuel,
honestly, ever.
We're still with Greg Olsen, with Cam. Like, come on, man. Like, Devin Funches, yeah, he may have been there for a while, and yada yada yada, but yeah, we gotta be done with him, man. If he don't get paid $2-3 million next year, if he want more than that, oh no, somebody let that man walk. Like, this game,
I don't think they're gonna sign him.
We should not have lost this game at all. At all. This is unacceptable. And if we don't, on Sunday when we play Seattle, if we don't see a lot more DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Wright, and even when Torrey Smith come back for real, Funches need to be at the bottom of that totem pole on wide receivers, man. Like, for real. Maybe use them in the red zone because of height, but until he starts learning to catch or work on his hands, you catch the ball with your hands, not your body, not your shoulder pass, your hands. Fuck him, man. For real.
I feel like at the end. I totally feel like that at the end of that call. That's exactly what I feel like. Here's the thing: is there's certain things I don't think you can work on. I mean, I think you can practice them. I think you get slightly better, but I think at this point, at 24 years old, he's either going to catch the ball or he's not going to catch the ball.
Right.
I don't feel like Odell Beckham Jr. goes out there and just can catch all of that stuff in any area code just because he works on the jugs machine a lot.
Well, it's also at what point does it do? At what point do you turn it on, and does it start to become a routine thing for you? I mean, there are some people that are born with that kind of talent that they don't ever have to use their body to catch the ball. They're just hands out, boom, right in their hands. But then there are some people that it just takes time and it just takes, different repetitions for them to be able to do it. But you're right, man. Damn. I mean, we drafted him in 2015. How long does it take? And it's a consistency thing. And again, I don't want to say that. I mean, I feel like this season it's been the worst. But okay, in your opinion, in all the times that you've known Devin Funchess, was your biggest criticism of him dropping balls or just not being able to get open downfield and not being able to run a route? Because for me, it was the route running. But now it seems like he's just dropping balls that he never would have before.
Joey, I want to point this out to you. We had a special interview, an interview, and I cannot remember the guy's name. It's been 4 years now, and he was from Michigan. He covered the Michigan, who are they? The Wolverines, right?
Wolverines.
And he came on the show and actually talking about echo problems and all that. That was one of the disasters of recordings I did in my life. But my man said he said, look, is that like we're excited about Devin Funchess. He goes out there and catches like 3 touchdowns in the opening game against Appalachian, right? But then he doesn't catch but 1 touchdown for the rest of the season. Underwhelming, inconsistent, and not coming up big was what he described him as then. And that is exactly what I would describe him as
I have to agree. Underwhelming is right. He's got the size that you look for in a receiver. He's not a speed demon, but he's not slow by any means either.
I don't get upset when he's running downfield. Like, I don't get mad when they throw him the deep ball.
Right. He's got the tools. He just doesn't always, he's not focused all the time. Because that's really what it comes down to when it comes to catching the football is focus. You have to have your eye on the ball. You have to look the ball all the way into your hands, all the way to the point to where you put it in your, you got it on your side in your arm and you're running with it. And he doesn't do that. And it's costing the team games. And when you're costing the team games, the coach has got to do something about that. Let's see what Ron Rivera has in store for Funchess this week.
A lot of that's my main disappointment with the coaching staff right now has been personnel usage and not willing to push guys forward a little bit to see if they deserve an added opportunity. The number is 252-228-5098.
Hey, C3, it's your boy Nova Black.
Nova Black.
Late, Tuesday. I wanted to express some thoughts on the game versus the Lions. we made a lot of mistakes in that game. Some bad calls, so on and so forth. The usual that we go through. That's why they call us the Cartier Cat.
Yeah, this time we flat.
At the game and the way that we played overall, it looks like we are starting to come together and ain't all the way got it together yet. And I think after that embarrassment that we made of ourselves in Detroit, knowing that we could have won that game, the obvious that DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel should be on the field more, especially at the same time. I really think that the defense showed up at times. We were winning on first and second down, and we wasn't really getting to the quarterback as we were getting close to him or pressure. It seemed to be taking too long to get to him and giving these guys time to get open, downfield. And then the big holes in the line during run blocking. Anyway, let me move forward to Seattle because that's dead and done. So after the end of that Detroit game, I don't feel like we are any worse. I feel like we have the opportunity to come so much better if we stick like that for a full game, offensively and defensively, consistently. I think we'll go in. Seattle will come to us, and everybody gonna pick Seattle to beat us, and it's gonna be a rumble in the Bronx, and we're gonna come out on top. And I picked Carolina to win this game by at least 3 points. A field goal
by a whole 3 points.
You never know. Anyway, everybody keep pounding. I thank y'all for the podcast. I'm gonna keep sharing it in the Keep Pounding group on Facebook and everything. And I'll try to be in tonight. I'm not sure. It's late. I gotta get some rest. So y'all have a good night.
You get some rest, Nova Black. You get some rest. You got a great call in there. I like how he's excited and ready to go and play the Seahawks because that's what we have to look ahead to, guys. We've got to now stop crying about the bed we have made, and now it's time to make the bed. It's time to remake the bed. In this case, going forward, Cody, you alluded to this with like, hey, what if we were to beat the Saints twice, right? But, I mean, here, we got to go. The one thing that's going to help us as a fan base and help this team get better is to go and get a win this Sunday. Now, we have been terrible on the road. At the same time, we want to look ahead. The disappointing fact here, Cody, is that we lost the game that we had circled.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've lost a few games that we had circled. I definitely.
Nah, we lost what? We lost Redskin 2. We lost 2 games we had circled. Washington and Detroit.
I would even say Atlanta week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Going in Atlanta.
That would be a tough game, though. You can accept that loss.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, it doesn't matter how many games you circle. We are where we are. And that's why I agree with my man, my homie, my partner, Nova Black. And he was spitting the truth, man. Listen, you have to move forward. And it's like the first cat call that we had of the night. If you're not going to believe in this team, if you're not going to, believe in the mantra of keep pounding, then what are you here for? What are we doing? Do we believe in this team? Do you believe in Cam Newton? Do you believe in Luke Kuechly? Because let me tell you what, I damn sure do. I damn sure do. And I don't care how it goes. Put my guys on the field, and it doesn't matter what scenario. I'm picking my boys, and I'm ride or die, man. Seattle has been a very good rivalry for us. And, I mean, I'm ready to start it back up. I'm saying bring that smoke, man.
Yep. All right. Numbers 252-228-5098.
Hi. What's up, C3 family?
This is my family. This is my family.
Carl D.
Carl D,
What's
baby. I love Carl D.
I know.
This is my dude right here.
What's up to Tony?
See?
And my man, that mean Puerto Rican himself, Joey, if you joining the show. And of course, Mr. Cody.
What's up,
First
baby?
of all, let me start by saying, Cody, I'm still mad at you. You act like you don't know nobody no more since you done got big time. You done left us. Mad at you, done got big time. You don't know us no more. That's all right, though, Cody. I got something for you, buddy.
They're my people, man. They're my people.
Still talk about that stupid, sorry loss to the Lions. Hey, I don't know what to say. I want to say Washington, his schemes is screwing up everything, but
yep.
I think it's not just the coaching, the players too.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what, Tony? I was watching the post show the other night, and you were saying something about it's the daggone shame that we had 10 freaking days to prepare, and we still played like, excuse my French, shit. That's ridiculous. I don't. Okay, you guys, just answer this question. If we end with a 9-7 or 8-8 record, do you guys think that Rivera will be out the door? Is that grounds for termination for Rivera? Me personally, I think he should be like on a big hot seat because ain't no way we should, as hot as we started off, we should get to no 9-7 or 8-8. And
this is a
the way
good
we've
call.
been playing,
Carl
we
D
have no
bringing it.
shot against the Saints. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. If I have so much other stuff I want to vent. If I get cut off, I'll call back again and continue.
Yeah, you get them, Carl.
But
do it, man.
Right now, I mean, I'm just so heartbroken. I'm so pissed. I'm everything that is kept saying. It's a shame that Rivera can never get us ready for Thursday night game after we come off.
All right, is that the call ran out of time there? But here, Carl D bringing the fire there. Maybe the real argument there against Ron Rivera has just been made. I believe anything under 10 wins right now warrants the question, should we just rebuild? And not rebuild as an organization, as a team, but hey, look, it's piecemeal. We got a piecemeal GM. We have a coach that was hired by a GM that was then fired, then rehired. And then we have a revolving door of coordinators on the defensive side in a good way in some ways. But now Norv Turner's the best thing. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense right now. How about this? Is at what point do you miss the opportunity to rebuild too? Cody, if we go to this, is there a concern like, hey, if you make 9-7 and you don't fire him, are you just prolonging the inevitable? I think it's 10 or 11 wins are the number that Ron Rivera has to have before we really truly feel that he's going to be the coach next year.
Well, yes and no. So it depends on what other coaches are out there that we might want to potentially fill that job. So, for example, I mean, yeah, and that's the name that I said. John.
Dude, I'm with you on that. That's your guy.
Yeah, John DeFilippo. He's the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. He was with the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe, when they won the Super Bowl, or maybe before. Right. But yeah, he's a really good offensive coordinator, and I think that he would be able to do some really good things here in Carolina. But that goes back to what you said, Tony. You're not throwing out Ron Rivera and keeping Norv Turner. I mean, if you're cleaning house, you're cleaning house.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
GM, everybody. GM, everybody. You got to bring in a GM with a vision What about this, Joey? Are you there? And let me ask you this, Joey. You bring in a new GM and bring in Lincoln Riley. That's who I want. Imagine Lincoln Riley coaching Cam Newton, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. We're gonna score 90 points a game.
It'd be fun.
If only that was the case. I don't know. I think 10 wins and Ron's okay. I think 9 wins. I think 9 wins, he's okay. But I think at 8-8 with the talent we have, there's going to be some real discussions going on.
And with the start we had.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a horrid finish. That's only winning 2 more games.
And really, it's unfortunate, but Eric Washington may take a fall. He may be the fall guy here.
That's fine. I mean, that's the reality of the game. If Rivera, if he doesn't do that, he would be stupid. You know, he did that to Mike Shula last year, maybe a year too late. But I'm starting to think this is that, like, you got to kind of, is that if you wait another year, like, I feel like if you either got to jump or not. You know, have you ever, I take my kids to the pool occasionally, and they go on the diving board, you know, and the younger ones, they go all the way up to the diving board, and they're ready to jump off, and then they get at the edge of the diving board. They look at the water, they feel the bounce, and they're like, I don't want to do this. And then they're trying to crawl back on the thing. It's like, there's a time to make a jump. And there's a time not to. Like, when does that time pass is what I'm worried about.
Yeah, and I want to bring up what I believe is the best point to be made when you're talking about this. And I'm going to give credit to Tim Tizzy because he's the one that brings it up. If we bring in a new coach and a new staff, that's more years that we're wasting of Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly. Because, I mean, think about this. When have you?
Yeah, are we wasting years right now, though? That's the alternate.
Right. But I think, you know, the question to at least consider is, if you have to pull that Band-Aid, if this is not the coaching staff that's going to take us to the promised land, then do it now. Do it now before it gets to be too late, and you end up wasting more time of these once-in-a-lifetime players and their career. But what I will say this is, how many times have you ever seen a brand new head coach, a brand new offensive coordinator, a brand new defensive coordinator in their first year go out and win the Super Bowl? I don't know if you've ever seen that.
What if you said the second year and I said the Los Angeles Rams?
Well, or Philadelphia. Look at Philadelphia last year.
They took a 9-7 team. They took a 7-8, 7-9 team. And all of a sudden and also they got aggressive on personnel. That's one thing. But at the same time, is that maybe it does happen. I would say it's the oddity. Like, people do scratch off $10 scratch off tickets and win $500, but they don't usually do that. So it's more, I think the odds are more that it doesn't work out. But my concern right now is I tend to lean towards what Tim Tizzy is saying, is I don't want to move on from Ron because we've been relevant. But then at the same time, what I'm asking is this: are we relevant truly? Because could we have been relevant with another coach and Cam Newton? That's my question. I think that's what a lot of Panther fans are asking right now, is that when do you rip the Band-Aid? And when do you find some continuity? Let's continue with these calls going forward.
Hi, this is Carl D again.
He's back. Carl D, part 2.
Finishing up. Also, we never prepared after a Thursday night loss. Because 10 days after that, we still seem to have a little slack to us. Like
we're not sharp after breaks.
Like we were zombies or something. I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, is it? I don't know. Maybe you guys can. Maybe you panel can tell us. I mean, can tell me, explain this to me. How the heck we never? How can we not be prepared? After 10 freaking days. Well, that game showed us that we're not winning this division this year unless we have miracles. But yeah, I hate that. And now, boy, I wanted us to beat the Saints. The way we playing, the Saints going to beat us. The Saints going to sweep us again for the second year in a row.
Oh, don't say it, Carl D. We're bringing our brooms. We're bringing our brooms.
What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And also, Tony, answer this final question for me.
I'm ready.
Cam. Something was off with Cam. He wasn't trying to run.
He hurt his ankle.
On that last
he hurt his ankle.
Conversion. I mean, I agree, but Cam had all the time in the world. Why didn't he? He had an open lane where he could have just ran and got the 2-point conversion. He could have. He had a little corner. Was the only player I seen that would have been standing in his way to get that 2-point conversion, and he could have bowled him over easily. Why did he not take it? And it seems like he decided to try to stay in the pocket to prove to critics that he can be a pocket quarterback. I say, screw that. North Turner, run some plays for Cam. We have the most dangerous player in the red zone on our team. Use him in the red zone.
All right, a lot of good points there, but here's what I'm going to say is this. Cam's ankle was hurt. It was hurting. Number one. Number two, the path was wide open. And we continue to tell everybody on the planet that Cam Newton's more than just a black running quarterback. He's a real quarterback. But you know what is this? The path was open. He tried to make it. He missed it. It's okay. I don't think this is a North Turner thing. And I want to put this out to you, Cody, on this point right here, is that I've heard some people trying to say that we didn't run the ball enough. We're running team. We're running team. We were moving the ball effectively downfield. We were behind in the game. I don't think that this was a schematic problem. Like, even though I agree, and this is where I do agree with Carl D more than anything, is like you do have the most historically awesome player within 5 yards. He's amazing. He's like in the category of some of those old school guys that you thought you just hand it to them and they're going to get it. But at the same time, we gave Cam Newton the ball. We gave him the opportunity, and I think that's okay. I'm not upset with the play call, and I do think the ankle had something to potentially do with it. But a 2-point conversion on a run play, difficult to make, isn't it, Cody?
It's very difficult to make. And I kind of said something similar to Carl D earlier, that when you have a player like that, I mean, they hear the criticisms. They hear people saying that they are this or they aren't that. They're not able to throw the ball accurately or whatever, even though Cam has been putting up career high numbers. But I do wonder, though, if he's on to something. I do wonder if maybe North Turner and our coaching staff are telling him not to run. And I do think about that. And again, I mean, it's kind of insider stuff. There's really no way of knowing. But I wonder if maybe, I mean, because listen, I do feel in the past we've seen Cam, more willing to scramble outside the pocket than he has been in recent years. And I do wonder if maybe there was a concerted effort. They sat down Cam and they said, listen, for the longevity of your career, you have to stop taking punishment. You have to, take it off of your body and put it on your arm and start making the passes that we know that you can make and that we have seen you make before. I do wonder about that. But at the same time, it's one of those things where we'll never know. But this is what I'll say. If it is a situation where our coaches are telling him not to run. I don't think that you should ever tell him that. Because if he has an opportunity to run the ball in for the 2 points, by hook or by crook, man, that's 2 points that wins us the football game. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that they're not doing that.
I don't believe that's what the case is at all. I don't believe that they're telling him not to run. I think that they're actually coaching him up and doing it all the things that people have criticized him for not doing in the past. I feel like this is that there was no point really in running. We tried to run a couple of design runs in that game. It just truly didn't work out. That game, we were gashing them in the air. We were doing it to it in the air. We were not having a problem moving the ball. This was not a question of should we have been running the ball more. No, our defense was not giving us enough possessions offensively. They were allowing their offense to grind down the clock. That is really, truly what the answer to this is. The Panthers' offense was not unsuccessful. They moved the ball 90 yards, like 12 times, it felt like. The problem at this point was playing from behind, and at the same time, our defense couldn't stop the run. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, yo, T3, what's going on? This is Gil Will from Greenville, South Carolina. I want to appreciate all y'all for giving me all of the day on last Tuesday. All right, let's get to it. So, Christian McCaffrey, thank goodness you got things. You really showed up blocking this week.
He's the great white hope.
You wanted cut blocking. I apologize. I can jump right now, but you did do that. And the DJ Moore comparison with Golden Tate, yeah, I could have been a little wrong like that. Golden Tate only had about 7,000 yards in 2010. Now, my bad. But yeah, at the catch, I think he could be.
That's where he's dangerous.
He's going to excel off that. I can't wait. DJ Moore, when you were in that 82-yard run, I was like, boy, run it, boy, run it, run it, run it. And when we see Slay Jr. coming behind them, I was like, boy, you better hold on that ball. I know we hawked it. Of course, Panthers, he get hawked in. We don't score. We try to have Gano kick the field goal. He missed it. Pass to Gano. Oh, no, Gano.
Oh, no, Gano.
You hit that 63-yard field goal for us. Thank God you hit that for us because that 3-year contract extension you got with us, we was already suspect about that deal.
True that.
You made up for 63 yards, but all them extra points you're missing and these punch field goals you're missing, last six to no. Really, that's what I think. We was all used to that, but anyways, the defense, I think our time is about done. I think we was built for I think our run was 2014 to 2017 was our window of Super Bowl consistent defense right now.
I'd say go back 1 year.
Got it right. I don't think we're ready for it.
I think he's right.
And our offense finally matches up with what we expect the offense is supposed to be when we got a good defense. And then now our defense over here looking like a lethargic ass defense. Classic Panthers, man. I just think I want to know what y'all thoughts are about us being so janky. I feel like our Carolina Panthers, we've been janky for so long. What can we do? Who do we need to get rid of? Do we need to get rid of everybody in the office that knows about the Panthers history? Because I feel like our philosophy is washed up. Run the ball, milk the clock, play some good defense, and win it at the end. I think we need to get rid of that mantra. It's killing us. That's why we call it cardiac cat. I'm getting tired of feeling that way. And I feel like we need a whole new regime change just because from Marty Herney, from Ron Rivera, from special team coaches, because our special team always looking like, okay, we'll make a play, but oh shit, now they just ran for 20 yards. Or we'll get a holding call when we finally break out on a kickoff return or a punt return. We're just so janky, I don't understand.
Joe, you've been a tremendous DJ Moore fan. And, you know, what we saw is we saw in that call is a continued commitment there to like, hey, DJ Moore, where he really pushes you and forces you. Actually, his biggest threat is after the catch, Joey. And that was what the comparison was, I guess, 2 weeks ago to Golden Tate. Golden Tate makes things happen in the open field. DJ Moore, you've been very high on him.
Oh yeah. I thought he was going to come in and make a difference. Honestly, I thought it would be a little sooner. But that's on the coaches for not playing him until when they thought he deserved to or whatever. But yeah, he's an impact player for us. And honestly, guys, he still doesn't really know what he's doing. He just knows go out there, catch the ball, and take it to the house.
He's like playground. He's like the playground.
Yes. Once he starts to understand route combinations and the subtle nuances of playing the position, this kid's going to be all pro for years to come. I am just so excited about having him on this team and cannot wait to see him really show what he's capable of in the future, because he's going to be something special.
Lincoln Riley, Panthers head coach. That's what I'm saying right here. Let's keep pounding with these calls.
Yeah, that's still will again. I ran out of time. My bad. But yeah, I think we just so janky with most of everything inside the organization. Like Jerry Richardson just infected his venom so deep that we just need to get rid of the whole body.
Yeah. He said we need to go on a juice cleanse.
Different in the future. I'm looking forward to that. But I feel like we just need a whole new regime change from the offensive line coach, D-line coach, the wide receiving coach. Because I feel like our route running, we always talking about our wide receivers are slack on route running. Like it's like, what are we doing then? Like I don't know if Ricky Pro's still there, but I don't know if Ricky Pro really did that well with our route running. Kelvin Benjamin, he was suspect route running. DJ Bunches, he's okay route running, but shit, you see his problem.
It's not the routes. We thought it was the routes. It's not the routes. Next call.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Black Cat, Brandon Herbert, and I'm pretty calm and everything. But before I start, I just want to say this, and I know this is a Panther podcast, and if they're listening or whatever, I just want to thank everybody that performed on Monday night. That game was amazing, and it gave me hope for Carolina. And I'm not even. That game was so good, I almost came to tears because it was just everything, and the score didn't indicate how well the defense played at times. But the reason I said it gave me hope for Carolina is I'm not even sure if I want to make the playoff right now, because if we make the playoffs, we're going to have the same coach. We're going to have the same problems. And I know it would be great to make the playoffs and think about this fairy tale run to a Super Bowl, but does anybody in their heart of hearts actually think we're going to do anything in the playoffs? Because we have the same issues. We have a coach that's being stubborn and won't play the players that give us the best chance to win. We have a coach that's always been, poor at managing games, a clock management, time management. And finally, we have a coach, and I know, Cody, you said that he might not be great at calling plays, but that still does not, you can't erase the fact he's a defensive-minded coach. His defense should never, ever look like that.
So is Bill Belichick. He's a defensive-minded coach.
That's really all I'm going to say on the coaching, because I don't want this to continue. Like, it's horrible. And the coaching, the reason I said it gave me hope, because if we do let Ron Rivera go, there's so many good offensive coordinators that I think that, and I know me and Cody's been going back and forth, but I think that if Cam gets him an offensive head coach, someone that's like inventive and everything like that, like he can be better than he is this year. He's played outstanding this year. might be even better.
Yeah, man.
I love that game yesterday. It was beautiful, but
I'm
and
the
about the
opposite.
coaches and everything,
I
I
don't even
said
like
that
that mess.
we should let them go. Shaq Thompson, I'm sorry, unless we can't find nobody better,
Here, I think this is back end of his call.
Panther fan.
Nope.
C3.
All right. So ultimately, again, a lot of angst coming at Ron Rivera there.
Yeah, and I want to respond to Brandon for a minute because let me tell you what's funny about Brandon is that, I mean, look, listen, that's my Twitter debate partner, man. I mean, him and I are going back and forth in DMs and on posts or whatever. But for the main, for the most of what we believe, me and Brandon believe a lot of the same things. And I also believe that Cam Newton would definitely benefit from a young, offensive-minded head coach. I would love that for Cam. I've been calling for that for Cam Newton for a long time. I mean, it's a different type of player, but look what it did for Jared Goff in 1 year's time. And Cam Newton's already an all-star MVP level quarterback. So imagine what a young savant level offensive play caller would be able to do for us. But as someone who has also been critical of Ron Rivera, this is what I'll say. And Tony and Joey, I think that you'll both be able to attest to this. Ron Rivera coaches best between the months of December, even through January. We've only had that one February
Just
Super Bowl.
not February.
Yeah, the latter end of the football schedule, that's when we play our best football. And that's not controversial. That's just the truth. And Ron Rivera does have something to do with that. So I'm not 100% on we would be one and done in the playoffs. It depends on who we end up having to play. I mean, it's not just the Saints that are in there. I mean, there are other teams. We know the Rams are high powered. The Bears are in their consideration right now. I mean, there are ways for us to continue to move forward and be successful. So I'm not 100% on the train that I feel Brandon is on, that we're not going to be anything at the end of the year. We still do have potential to be a playoff caliber football team and win football games in the later months, but we just have to play better.
The one concern I have about all of this ultimately comes down to this, is that, like, why is my main disappointment in replacing Rivera and my main disappointment in Rivera is that, like, why didn't he just give more than to North Turner and just say, do whatever the hell? Either North Turner is the problem personnel wise in some cases. Like, I feel like, is that bringing in a young savant at head coach? Why can't you just bring in a young savant or a savant at coordinator, and then Ron Rivera just throw the red challenge flag out there? And he's the guy that's out there motivating people and doing the press conferences. The one thing that I'm upset about this completely, and bringing in a new alternate coach altogether, is I just thought Ron Rivera was ready to step back and be the overseer. And right now we continue to come back to Ron Rivera as a source of the problem when it comes to personnel issues, when it becomes whatever it is that I just thought that North Turner was going to take that off of his plate. And we're not convinced that he did. So let's continue to go through with these calls right here. Let's see. That was Brandon Herbert, right?
Panther fan.
Next call.
Nation. This is the Bat Daddy.
Bat Daddy.
Straight to it.
Get him.
Bat
I've been
Daddy.
thinking about this all week long, and I really hate to try to look at a game and pinpoint one or two reasons why we lost the game, but I can give you two right off the bat, and it's not going to be what you think it is. I'm going to blame it on one, the Gano kicks, obviously.
Yeah.
And Devin Funch is dropping the ball, man.
Oh, that's
Like,
exactly
what is
what
going
we're
on with
talking
that?
about.
He's supposed to be our number one guy.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying they had to be perfect with the kicks or the catches. You could take half of what they did and make it a good kick or a good catch, and we'd have won the game. Hands down, no doubt. Like, I don't understand what's going on with Devin Funches.
He trash, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was the call at the end of the game. I get that people say that when you're at home, you go for the tie, and whenever you're away, you go for the win. But here's the thing about that play. When the other team has 1:07 left, 3 timeouts, if
True.
you make that, the game's not over.
True.
But if you miss it, it's definitely over. So I don't understand the logic in that call. Like, I get it if there's 10 seconds left, 15 seconds left, even 30, and the other team has 1 timeout or no timeouts. I get that. Because then if you make it, the game's probably over. But if you miss it, the game's definitely over. So I don't get the logic in that call at all. At the end of the day, I just have to look at it. If the season ended, we're still in the playoffs, and we're 3 completed passes away from being not. So we're not as bad as it seems right now. Let me know what you think. Keep pounding. Bad Daddy out.
I like that call a lot. Why I like that call there is that it's not about whether going for. I really think it's about how much time is on the clock at that point. And it's almost a risk assessment of that. And I do think that might be the most compelling description that I've heard so far, because I have been pro go for it. But I do believe that probably was the most compelling description of why we should have maybe kicked the extra point. But let's point out he did omit that Graham Gano sucked the big bag of you-know-what's that game.
Unless we can't find nobody better than Shaq Thompson. Like, we should not.
Here we go. All right. I think that was the back end of Brandon Herbert's call. We're going to keep going. We got so many calls tonight. We can't keep up. Here we go.
Good evening, guys.
Yeah.
It's Cody up here in Roanoke, Virginia. I'm just
Cody from Virginia.
calling on my way home
Great
from
name.
work, listening to the post-game show, knowing you guys are about to set up for the Tuesday night show. Listen, guys, just a few thoughts I have on the Detroit game. Then I'm moving on. I haven't lost complete faith in the team. I feel like we have the ability to rebound. I feel like we're
I like this call already.
I feel like we're one game away from being able to be considered a good team. And I say one game because I think we have as many pieces as we could possibly have. We've added everything we needed, or at least we thought we needed, to be a great team this year. We sold out for this year. Not as much as the Rams, but we sold out for this year because we thought we had what we needed. We had the speed. We had the size and Devin Funches and Greg Olsen. We had the backfield with C.J. Anderson and Christian McCaffrey. We had everything we needed to go to the defense. We got, we have the drafted cornerback Dante Jackson. We have James Bradbury. We have Luke Kuechly. Luke. We have Thomas Davis. We have, Dontari Poe, K'Wan Smith, Julius Peppers, Mario Addison. And then on the back end, we have Kyle Love and Brian Cox who's been showing up, right? All these pieces. Then you have Eric Reed in the backfield, Mike Adams, all of these great pieces that should make this a great fucking team, right? No, it's just not clicking. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like we have the talent, we have the capability of being a phenomenal team, but for whatever reason, we aren't clicking. That's why I say we're one game away. We're not one person away. We're not one play away. We're one game away of everybody meshing and feeling like they won the game handedly. Every game, our defense has not really stood up. I mean, there's been a couple of good games, but, there hasn't been a great game where we're playing in good in all phases. Defense is always giving up big plays and letting teams stay in it when they shouldn't be in it. And if I lose you, I'll give you guys a call back, but I don't know, man. I just feel like we have everything we possibly could need. We have Cam playing at a high level, which we
I
haven't
agree.
seen before.
This is a great call, by the way.
Season.
It's a
Which
good
even
call.
at that season, we're eclipsing numbers that he even did in that season, which I think is just amazing. But the production is not there, and I'm at a loss as to what the difference is. But I haven't lost faith. I think Devin Funchess definitely is not a number one. They need to really assess that situation. I don't think Torrey Smith is a number one, but I think he fits the number one role best.
Here's part 2 of this call.
Cody again from Roanoke, Virginia. Told you I'd call back. I knew I'd be cut off just because I have a lot to say. I was touching base on Devin Funchess. Funchess, I wanted to like that guy so much. I wanted to believe that he's going to develop
I'm
into
the
that
same
number one
way.
receiver
I
that
wanted
we need.
to trust
And then
him.
we're going to have DJ Moore being able to learn in the wings like Devin Funchess did.
Once I heard he loves salad more than fried chicken, though.
Back to the number 2 role. I don't think DJ Moore is quite ready to step into the number 1 role as much as I'd like to think that he's ready. But I think it's too quick to put him in that tough of a situation where he is looked at that way. Do I think he's capable? Yes, but I think it's too early, and I think they're doing the right thing, letting him learn the system the best way that they possibly can before throwing him to the fire, and he takes a hit to his confidence if he's not performing well. But I do think Torrey Smith needs to be considered the number 1. I'm not saying he's number 1 quality, and I'm not saying he's going to ball, but I think that if we can put him in the number 1 role,
I just
and
got
then let
twisted.
Devin
I think he
Funchess
meant
keep
DJ.
that number 2 roll up, and then
More.
throw in the adjustments with Wright and Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. I believe that that's the best way that we're going to see those guys develop. But I think that's the only way that this receiving core works. I miss Torrey Smith.
Wow.
Never thought I'd say that. I thought he's been a bust this year, but I think having him on the field, you guys may have talked about it by now, but I think defenses have to respect him and what he brings to the table and the veteran leadership that he.
All right, Cody, there's more to this call, but I am stunned. And what I like about this call, first of all, Cody, good name, A. B,
strong
this
name.
is a different perspective right here. He's saying here, bring Torrey Smith in, replace Funchess with him, and then put the young bucks around Torrey Smith. Interesting proposal. Something unique at the very least.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Joey.
No, I don't know that, I was very disappointed in Torrey Smith prior to him being injured. I think there was maybe one game where he played well. Otherwise, felt like it was somewhat of money not well spent. I'm still not convinced he's who we need to have on the field. Yes, he is fast, and yes, he has he's got plenty of experience, but the dynamic players we have now on the roster I think they need to be on the field as much as possible so they can gain the experience and get, you can get reps in practice, but the reps you get in the game is where you learn to play.
We heard Ron Rivera talk about this earlier, Joey, when he was talking about Scrub as 5th round. And sorry, this is frustration kicking in. Marquise Haynes, and why he got but I'm like, you're bringing in a guy that is not going to have a real impact on the game unless it's just a surprise.
Right, especially at that point in the game, too. It was towards the end. It's like that's crunch time.
So when you think about Torrey Smith, Devin Funchess right now, I don't think about this guys as other guys replacing him, DJ Moore replacing him as the number 1 and earning it. I think of this as Devin Funchess losing that job. Right. As I truly think that he just hasn't done enough to garner that. I feel like we gave it to him so much. Now, at the other hand, we've been continuing to say this all night long, is that give it to the hot hands. I think at least the one thing I'm okay with the Torrey Smith thing is is that Torrey Smith was slightly underwhelming, but not devastatingly underwhelming. Funchess in this last game he had just had one of the most terrible games ever. And when he said that in the press conference afterwards, when he said, I've had worse games, you're like, Jesus Christ. I hope not.
It's hard to remember. It's hard to remember which one that was. That was worse than that.
So I don't think that Torrey Smith is the good. I think what we need to do is to look at what the Rams did last night, look at what the Chiefs are doing, and just have more faith in the guys we picked. That's what I'm saying, is they don't fit the mold. Okay, so what? Putting Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore on the field at the same time doesn't fit the traditional mold. But these guys are making plays, man. Go after it. McCaffrey doesn't fit the traditional mold. What is he doing?
No, but I do agree with Cody that I feel even if he's not okay. So let me back up. Let's be real. Let's say what both you and I and Joey. Let's say what we all know. Devin Funchess, even after that game, is not going to see his snaps reduced. He's going to be on the field.
That's where I'm super aggravated.
Right.
I'm super aggravated that merit doesn't matter.
Well, but this is what I am hopeful for. And I do think that when Torrey Smith was on the field, listen, another part of my frustration with Curtis Samuel and how we've been playing him is that he's a legitimate deep threat. And that we'll still play him on these gadget plays, these bubble screens. And it blows my mind that you have someone that can take the top off like that and you're not using them in that way. But that's beside the point.
Look at what they did with Hill last night. Look at what they did with him.
100%. And that's always been the guy that I've compared Curtis Samuel to. I've said it on the show before. That's our version of Tyreek Hill. Okay, but with that said, though, when you do have Torrey Smith on the field, they're going to use him as that deep threat, and Ron Rivera has said as much. So I do feel if you're going to have Torrey Smith on the field, that is going to open up the field for everyone else out there. And I do think that Cam Newton benefits from having him out there when he does know that he has that receiver that can open up the top end of the field. If you wanted that long ball to be there, it spreads out the defensive backs a little bit more than they otherwise would have been. So, I mean, even though he hasn't been the best for us, I'm a little bit ashamed to say it, but I am excited for Torrey Smith to come back.
Joey, Cam Newton has been used to wide receivers disappointing him throughout their career. I don't feel like he's like, oh, I trust this guy so much over someone else. I think he trusts talent. And right now, I'm starting to say this is put Curtis Samuel out there, put DJ Moore out there. Their faults, sure. There may be some weaknesses to their game. There's weaknesses on the other side of the game. And when we look at that, Joey, we continue to look at this, is that those guys are dynamic players. I am starting to worry, Joey, that this coaching staff doesn't have the balls to go with it. That's what I'm starting to worry about, is because I want to believe that the world in America is based on equality and merit. And this is where mugs tell us we're silly. And I'm starting to realize this, is that it's not the case in the NFL, at least when it comes to our team. Why how come damn Ron Rivera doesn't seem be able to recognize who's actually winning at that moment? I feel like the politics of the matter rues the day.
I think he's hesitant because he's been with Funchess for however long and he trusts him. But
Why? Why do you trust him?
But he's
Tell me that.
dropping.
Why do you trust him?
Only because of familiarity. And he's dropping the ball
So
now. But
you don't
hold
want to say
on,
that
hold
about
on.
your wife.
Rivera is now seeing what these young kids are capable of doing and how impactful they can be in the game. Where Funchess was taken out of the game. Mentally, he was out of the game. And it was just DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. And he saw what they were capable of and how well they could play. So I think, I mean, for him to ignore their big play potential and to continue to go with Funchess, who has been the absolute epitome of inconsistency, is going to get him fired.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I believe
that would be some shit right there. Is you got fired. And you know what? I blame nobody but you if you trust the mug who is as soft as a wet crouton for your
and has
job.
repeatedly let you down.
Salad
You know what
boy
I'm saying?
let you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salad tosser.
Dang, Joey went hardcore. Whoa, next call. 252-228-5098.
Hey, what's up, C3? My name's Tyler. I'm from Oklahoma, and I need to know where to place the blame on this defense. This defense has not been
That's a
doing
good
anything
question.
this whole season besides the Dallas game. I mean, if you just look at our roster on defense on paper, we look like a championship caliber defense, and we got too many great players to be playing this awful. I know you guys keep saying like Luke Kuechly misses tackles, K'Wan Short misses sacks, and we just haven't had any pressure off the line. But if you look at just the depth chart, it just looks so stacked. Like, I'm so confused on where the blame should go. I know everyone hates Eric Washington. Personally, I hate Ron Rivera, but I just need to know if we don't make the playoffs this season, who's to blame and who's getting fired. That's all I got to say.
Let's stick with the
Answer that
initial.
for me, C3, and keep pounding Panther Nation.
Thank you for that call.
Great call.
Perfect call. It was a good call. And what I would say is let's focus on the first half because we've talked enough about the coaching staff in many ways. But on this defense, is that on paper, again, we saw the acquisition of Dontari Poe and we go, oh, lateral move at worst, upgrade best. But the problem being is that it hasn't translated onto the field. The defense, again, I think the linebackers play has suffered. I think in many ways that's because they have not played as great as we expect them to be. I would go ahead and say this is, look, Thomas Davis aging. Shaq Thompson really been underwhelming. Luke Kuechly, surprisingly pedestrian, but it all comes back to the fact that we have a defensive line that Mario Addison and KK Short can't carry it, man. And that's what I think it comes back to. I think that Dontari Poe was meant to make a bigger impact, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to know who to put the blame on. Here's another name that we don't mention enough. How about Brady Hoke? That's our new defensive line coach. I mean, we talk about Eric Washington, and Eric Washington is the arbiter of this defense. But at a certain point, you do have to put more blame on the guys that are in control of individual assignments and individual thing on the line, and we're not getting enough pressure. We're not getting enough pressure up front, and I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next call.
Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I just got one more thing to say.
Same call.
I'm just whenever I say I hate Ron Rivera, he's not been a bad coach, but he's not been a coach that's. I don't feel like he can get us back to the Super Bowl. I just don't want to. I don't want to have regrets later on in life, thinking what would we have done if Cam had a different coach? What would we have done? You know, how many Super
Well, I
Bowls could we
think
have
that's
won?
what
We
we've
had
always
back
been
there. We had
saying.
K1 Short, Julius Peppers, John Terry Poe, Dante Jackson, Eric Reed. We got so many players back there on defense, and our defense is struggling. Our offense is looking great. I just feel like what could we do right now if we had a different coach? I don't want to waste Cam's career with a mediocre coach. I want to get him a new coach that can put him in the situation to get to the Super Bowl. And our defense, I don't know. I really do think it's probably Ron Rivera, but I feel like we need to get some passion back there. Whenever we're behind or whenever we're losing, I don't see them getting hyped up and like getting in a huddle and saying, let's 3-and-out these guys. It just looks like no one's playing with passion. They're just playing not to lose, and that's not how, we're going to win games. But, all right, that's all I got to say, guys.
All right, good call. So again, another part 2 of the call, very good. And I think that has been the fear continually with Ron Rivera, is that are we potentially stuck in the muck? And that Ron Rivera has been a good addition to this team. The question is, at this point, is he an asset or is he just one of the people that's kind of on the boat? Cody, I think this is that, again, we're back here at Ron Rivera. It's a tough thing. He's in a tough position with a new owner, but he has had some productivity.
Listen, he's had a lot of productivity, and this is what I don't want to do, and I feel like that we are in danger of doing that a little bit. Even when it comes to Devin Funchess, I'm not going to call Devin Funchess, all of a sudden a trash wide receiver, and I'm also not going to say that Ron Rivera has been a terrible head coach. I mean,
right.
He's not been a Ben McAdoo. He's not been a guy that's been a constant liability in our locker room.
Look at what's happening to Mike Zimmer right now in Minnesota. People would have loved to have had Mike Zimmer 3 years ago, but even he, 100%. I mean, at the same time, he has not been bad. Ron Rivera has been better than average.
Yeah, not only so this is what I believe, right? You have the bottom tier dumpster fire coaches. Then you have your top of the top tiers, your Bill Belichick, your Eric Reed, not Eric Reed, I'm having a brain fart here. Help me out. The guy in Kansas.
Andy Reid,
that's the dude. And then you have
never won a Super Bowl though.
Right, never won a Super Bowl, but we all do believe that he's a pretty good head coach. I mean, those are your upper echelon type of coaches, right? Sean Payton, you even have to put him up there.
Yeah, but then totally.
Yeah, then there's that middle tier that they're good with their players. They're good in the locker room. They can rally the troops, but they just seem to have a hard time taking the next step. And I do think that's where Ron Rivera is. And, if we did end up having to fire him after this year, I don't believe that it's because he's a bad head coach. I
think that's an awesome point.
Yeah, it's just because he's not the coach that'll bring us to the end where we want to be. And that's seeing Cam Newton and Luke and Greg Olsen hoisting up that Vince Lombardi trophy. And if he's not the man, it's time to bring in the man who is the man.
I think you're right about this, is that Ron Rivera is not necessarily a weakness. But again, has he game planned? And for me, I just want to, I continue to go back to this, is that, yes, we have a lot of new assistant coaches. We have a new defensive coordinator. But Ron Rivera, you're not in the offensive meetings. We know that.
No.
We know that you're not in there being like, hey, I want to put the Ron Rivera stamp on the offense. Why aren't you in the defensive meetings, bringing them up more so? I think this is that while Washington has demonstrated that he is a young defensive coordinator and may not be a defensive coordinator for long, Ron Rivera has needed to be able to bring him along faster. And if not, be the man there. Because what else is he doing? That's what I say. Where is Ron Rivera's expertise if it's not on the defense? That's my thought there. Last call of the night, I believe. Here it comes.
Hey, everybody. This is
G.
Cavassier.
G.
Last but not least.
Last for the post game show. Y'all went kind of overboard. Dropped a couple of F-bombs, but, I was pissed.
That's all right.
Now,
it's all right.
It's simple.
We get that way.
With these 2 losses, I think that we needed those to make us realize that if we want to be in the playoffs and a Super Bowl contender, we have to take games more seriously. Hopefully, Washington will blitz a little bit more or put a spy.
We couldn't. They were running on us, man.
And I do believe that we will win that game. I really, really, truly do. And another thing I would like to say that every Panther fan knows is in the month of December, the Panthers are clutch as hell in the month of December.
That's what I said.
It's like them boys, they play some good ball
Sweet.
in December.
Get your brooms.
December yet. I'm just
Get
saying,
your brooms.
December
We're
is right
going to
around the
make
corner.
Sean
Y'all really,
Payton's
really
face
boys
uglier.
actually doing something. And
Not
the last
possible.
question I have, come next season,
Not
Funches on the
possible.
team and Bradbury, I don't know.
Oh, he
The
threw
elephant's in the
Bradbury in
room.
there.
I'll let you guys discuss that later.
Bradbury, yes, for me. I'm okay with Bradbury. He does suck at playing the ball. Like,
That's funny.
that's
You
the
said don't get rid of Bradbury, but it does suck at playing.
no,
the ball.
not don't give me like I'm okay with Bradbury, but he sucks at playing the ball. But Funches, I'm done, man. I'm tired. I would rather
How about-
have another. I would rather have Moncrief dropping passes. I'd rather have. I don't know. I think I'd rather have Brandon LaFell, to be honest.
How about this? If we have the opportunity to upgrade both positions, then we should do it. How about that? I mean, if like I said, I don't think that. I mean, other than his previous game, he may not be the best wide receiver, but up until Detroit, I wouldn't have called Devin Funchess a liability to the football team,
Right.
especially now.
True.
Especially
We
if you have
were
other-
optimistic before Detroit. We were
Very
optimistic
optimistic.
about right. We thought that he was going to be worthy of that $12 million, like that mid-tier contract before
And
Detroit.
another thing that we haven't brought up yet is it was a homecoming for him. That's where he's from. He went to Michigan as a
Crumples,
that was the
he's
college that he
soft
went
as
to.
salad, bro. He's soft
That
as a wet
romaine lettuce,
crouton.
dog. That romaine
Yeah,
lettuce. But
that's right.
Yeah, but this is what I'll say though. If he hasn't been a liability, so I mean, if he wants the bag, yeah, he ain't getting the bag here in Carolina. He's had too much time to prove worthy of that. It's funny. He's similar in build to Michael Thomas in New Orleans, but he ain't no Michael Thomas.
No, he ain't.
Not even close. So yeah, man. I mean, if we have this is what I tell our man Jay Cavassier. If we're in the position to upgrade the cornerback position and move on from James Bradbury or bump him down the depth chart, and if we're in the position to do the same thing with Devin Funchess, I say we do it. But if not, they're not someone I'm throwing the axe at until we know that we have someone that can do what they do at least.
I think James Bradbury deserves his job. I think he made a bad play in that Pittsburgh game that created an avalanche. All right. So and no, he doesn't play the ball well. I would rather keep James Bradbury and part ways with Devin Funchess. Like Ice Up Son said, we need to upgrade the D line more than anything. I think all of those questions about Funchess and who was the other guy we were talking about? Funchess and Bradbury. Those are all extraneous until we address questions on the defensive line as well as the offensive line. Think about this, guys. Ryan Khalil likely is going to retire after this season. I would, if I was him. I don't think he's going to get any better, right? Then you're going to move on. So you have him. You have Matt Khalil, who sucks. You know what? And then nobody else is actually very certain. You really only have maybe Moten for another year, too, and Trey Turner. There's a lot of insecurity there, as well as this defensive line all of a sudden has shown tremendous signs of aging. You're going to have to invest a lot in free agency and the draft. It's really going to be all offensive line and defensive line between free agency and the draft next year. So while those questions are intriguing at this moment, I think in the end, they're extraneous.
Yeah, but remember, though, David Tepper is the wild card. So if we're able to cut some players and spend some money, David Tepper wants a return on his investment. He wants to win right now.
True that.
So I mean, I honestly think the next few years, but very soon you're going to start to see the differences of what the Carolina Panthers football team looks like under David Tepper. And I think that we're going to see a lot more.
All right. So that's the end of the show. We were going to talk about the Seahawks. You can check out the preview. We're going to have the Shadow Cat offer you a little preview on the Seahawks coming up. But I think we all know where it is that like it's a must-win situation for the Carolina Panthers. If you can't win a home game against a middling Seahawks team, you're in trouble. This is not the old Seahawks team that has given us fits in the past, even though they still have, what's his name? Russell Wilson, right? A man who wears Keds or whatever he wears. We're going to be all right. I think this is that if we lose this game going against the Seahawks, then we're not going to be all right. We win against the Seahawks. Again, we're still in control of our destiny. I love to hear the thoughts of Cody Lashney talking about how to sweep these guys. And now I'm going to ask Cody Lashney how to ice somebody up.
Well, I'll show you. You don't even have to ask me. I won't even tell you. I'll just show you. So, the Cowboys, they've done a lot of things for the NFL. And one of the things that they've done is they've put out a lot of quality, well, I guess depending on your taste, they've put out a lot of announcers into the NFL. Tony Romo has been a blessing. Okay, Tony Romo is a great commentator.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's like maybe one of the best ever.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, the former coach of the Cowboys, is on the Fox NFL pregame. They've put a lot out there. But one of and Troy Aikman, you can't forget about him. You can love him or hate him. He's just doing his thing.
Yep, right.
Been doing it for a while.
Look, decade.
A decade of doing it. But, not every swing can be a home run, man. And I don't know if y'all know this, but Jason Witten has been struggling, dog. And I mean bad. And I feel so bad for the dude because he's trying to say a name, Ukanubom or some shit.
You can't even say it. Look, how about this?
No,
you can't even say it.
No, but listen, Twitter was dragging him over hot coals. listen, enough of my talking. Just feast your ears and feast your eyes.
Kelsey's on the edge, protecting, but Ibukam was able.
One more time.
Ibukam. One more time.
Protecting, but Ibukam was able.
We don't know.
Listen, man, it must be hard to be on live TV, and I know because we do a live podcast and we have our own bumps of our own, so I know it's tough. But man, come on, you have to be a little bit more prepared in the moment than that. So it might be low hanging fruit at this point, but to Jason Witten, ice up, son.
Oh man, I wasn't prepared for an ice up pick this week. I have not been prepared for this moment, but I do have plenty of people to ice up, and I think I'm gonna have to come back to this. Is I have to ice up a Panther player. I don't do this very often,
Classic.
But Don Terry Poe. I asked you to come in here. I thought all of a sudden, I'm sitting here singing Marty Herney's praises. When you signed Don Terry Poe, I thought this is the legit deal. I thought this is not only a lateral move, but an upgrade from Star Lotulelei. I've been wrong. It was not only not a lateral move, but at this point does not seem to be an upgrade. Seems to be a downgrade. And I do believe that people overcredited Star Lotulelei for what he did. I think he was a good player. I'm not saying that. Is that I think this is about Don Terry Poe not being the player we had hoped he had been. And I still want one person who is an X's and O's guy to please tell me why he's on the right and KK's on the left. And I don't know the answer to this because I'm not an X and O guy. Like, I never played football. I'm just a fan, just watching it from the outside. But does that then, when you switch those two, who's the one technique? Who's the two technique or three technique? Excuse me. One technique, three technique. Or does it matter? Do you get to flip them vice versa like you could like a wide receiver? I need you to explain this to me. Because at this point, it really seems to be a detriment. The offensive line is worse with the addition of Don Terry Poe. So I'm icing up Don Terry Poe with a secondary ice, the ice shavings. To Mario Addison, man, come on, man. We needed you to be more. We overinvested. We thought you were going to be a 3-down defensive end. You're not. Sorry. We're working on it. The Panthers defensive line, to you, specifically Don Terry Poe, I say ice up. All right, Cody, we've gone on and on and on. I've drank a lot of beer on this podcast. A ton.
All right.
A lot.
And nothing wrong with
and
that.
I'm ready.
Though.
Yeah. I mean, we had to deal with 2 consecutive losses in some form or fashion, right? Yeah. But I think what we have come to is the consensus of this podcast is while we have been disappointed with this team, there is still a lot to be optimistic about this team. And while we may not be of the caliber of the Saints, we may be a wild card team that could catch a second win later on because we have talent. We just have not, as one caller said, we haven't been able to put it all together and make it work yet. We have an opportunity Sunday, Cody, to stop the bleeding against the Seattle Seahawks. You've mentioned sweeps. Let's go get this, man.
Let's sweep them, man. Let's sweep them. We have a good rivalry with Seattle. It's kind of lied dormant. But listen, man, we can beat this football team, and we're at home. It's time to put up or shut up. It's time to be about it. If we're going to catch the Saints, if we're going to do what we need to do, and beat them damn Hoodats. Then we gotta go out and we gotta play Panther football, and I think we will. Damn it, let's go, keep pounding, y'all.
Saddest part about all this, and I think one caller mentioned it, is I thought, and actually, I think it was you, Cody, who said, like, come on, we needed to be angrier at the Lions than we were.
I want to punch them in their throats. I want to embarrass them. I want that.
Not for them, not to embarrass them, but for us.
And to embarrass them. I remember Steve Smith once said that. I remember Steve Smith once said that after I got done with the defensive back, I wanted his mama to look and feel like I just did her son dirty. Okay, that's what I want. That's what I want.
I need to go take a shower, Steve.
That's what I want the Panthers to start doing to their opponents, and it's time to do it. No one's afraid of us right now. It's time to instill the fear of an angry, hungry Panther coming at your ass.
All right. My name's Tony Dunn. This is a C3 Panthers podcast. Your butts should have turned your phone to portrait mode and smashed that thumbs up button by now. But if you haven't, go ahead and do that. If you're listening on the audio podcast, what we need you to do is this. We need you to subscribe on YouTube just to bump the numbers. Second, we need you to rate us, to tell everybody that you enjoy listening to us. Just ride with you in the car and drink beer and talk football, because that's what we do. And third, I need you to go follow Cody Lashney on Twitter. Tell him how to do it.
At CODYLAC, Cody Lack. Hit me up. I mean, listen, Brandon Herbert, that's my my debate partner now. I answer to everyone. But listen, man, more importantly, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Being thankful, that's not something that you should do once a holiday. You should be thankful every day that you draw breath from your lungs into your body and into your blood. Amen, man. Be thankful every day that you're alive, that you have loved ones, that you're still able to cheer for the Panthers and keep pounding, baby.
And be thankful that you have Cam Newton, because that's where it all comes down to, is we're thankful that we have Cam Newton, because we can talk about replacing coaches. We can talk about all of this, but not a damn person has mentioned replacing Cam Newton. Thank Jesus, because that man is the Carolina Panthers at this moment, and has been and will be until he is broken. This is a C3 Panthers podcast. We are the Cam Newton defenders, and we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Until next Tuesday. All right, I think we may be done. I hope we are.
We may be done.
Maybe done. I think. I'm trying to get the shindig to cut off. We are off on YouTube. I think we're done.
Nope, it just said it on YouTube. right as you said it here in the video.